All right. What is up, ladies and gentlemen, people of Earth? How are you? It's Thinker St. James here, and it is Friday. That means it is the free for all where we go over all of the comedy and the tragedy in the world of MMA because this sport never sleeps, and neither do we. As you see, there's a blank screen in front of you because we have the captain of the ship here who's going to guide us through all of the news of the week. His name is Mr. Chase Parton. Chase, how the hell are you?
Dude, we are obviously great. It's a Friday where we get to talk about all the in-between work that's been going on, and there's been a decent amount, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised once again with the topics that we bring, and everybody out there, make sure to just go ahead and like and subscribe right off the bat. We don't see the chat yet. Normally we got some people in here. I don't know where you guys are at, but I'm low-key offended that I don't see my boys in here. But once you get here, we'll give you a quick shout-out, but you know the deal. We are ready to go.
Absolutely. It's been a long week. I was out doing a whole bunch of stuff that kept me away from the sport. These are the times that are hardest for me when it's like, I want to keep track of everything, but other life stuff gets in the way. So I am excited about all of what you have to share with me today to catch me and everyone else up on what we may have missed, what might have fallen through the cracks, perhaps.
All right. Well, to get into the first thing, I'm just going to throw it out there because the chat wants to talk about it first, obviously. So we're
Sure.
going to get right into it. The Mighty Mouse and Guru show is over, everybody.
R.I.P.
Now this episode, I will admit, might have a little more clips than intended, but we do have a little bit to sift through, so we are going to go ahead and watch. Some I will exclude us from, and we'll just go for the tagline. But this one, I haven't necessarily heard what Mighty Mouse said specifically from his mouth. So let's go ahead and watch this real quick.
I think him calling, inbred and bomb this and all that stuff. No, I don't do that. If my son was to talk like that, my son would be getting ass whooping from me because I didn't raise him like that. I like Islam. I like all those guys. I have no problem with no religion. But if Guru feels that way, I cannot help him feel a certain way. I can't sway him like, dude, these guys are good people, which I think deep down inside, he believes they're good people too. But another question. You guys asked me, why did I start the show to begin with if I knew this could happen? It's called taking a risk, where I think a lot of you guys out there might not have taken a risk in your life, but I took this risk, meaning that I did not feel that the content he does on his channel will spill over onto the content we make on our channel, right? If you guys look at all the Mighty Guru podcast shows, it is nothing but vibes, good chats, not degrading the athlete, not talking about somebody's religion, And for everybody out there, I have no problem with any religion. As long as you're a good person and you have good morals, I fuck with you.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, a couple of thoughts here. First of all, shout out to the Queen Sarah Toby checking in the chat. Appreciate
Thanks.
you. Okay, as far as this goes, this is I want to try to be as kind to Mighty Mouse as I can here. Legend of the sport, obviously we know this. One of my probably on the Mount Rushmore of MMA, in my opinion. An underrated legend in a lot of ways. I would say underappreciated. I guess is a better way to say it. That said, though, whenever he opens his mouth, I lose respect for him. This is a consistent thing that I've been holding back on really delving into because it's not just this. This is one of many just little things over the course of history. If you go back down the timeline where I'm just and I'd have to go back and specifically pick out examples to really give you a full impression. But I just have heard things that Demetrius Johnson has said, and I'm just bro, just you are a different person now. You're an internet entertainer now. This is your new field after you ended your combat sports career. You gotta, I don't know, you gotta navigate things a little bit smarter, I suppose, the way that I look at it. And when it comes to this is a terrible navigation of this for him, because what he addressed, as I said, that was my big question. Why would you start it with him? It's for him to say, oh, well, I started this podcast with the Guru thinking that he wasn't going to be the Guru. Why would you think that?
But towards the end of it, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I obviously am not loving the situation here. It is kind of funny, but the entirety of everything that we're going to go through is funny, not necessarily specific things that we're going to get into. But Demetrius Johnson at the end saying, it shouldn't spill over to what we have two separate things. If we're going to make our own, our streams are completely different with the watch alongs. You have your own thing, I have mine. We have before tried to intertwine that, and we have two different things going on. That's fine. But when we do the podcast, we have our set direction on what the podcast is. So I don't dislike his answer there, because I agree. If I came on there, or you came on there for that matter, and just had a day of just spewing slurs, and you were like, you would think like, okay, we'll continue on. Hopefully that was just him saying something crazy, and we'll just move on. But then, like, as it keeps going, it's like, all right, a whole episode of it or whatever. But I don't know. I don't watch their show, so I don't know if that's how Guru acts on there or not. But you would think him teaming up with Guru is going to bring a certain type of vibe to the show. For him to be like, oh, I'm gonna bring Guru on because I think he's gonna bring some really level-headed takes. Miscalculation.
Yeah.
That's not a risk. I mean, that's just
Yeah,
miscalculation, I
for
guess.
sure.
But
Yeah. And look, if they, again, also, I guess we both should preface that, like, neither of us have watched the show. So, I don't know all of the specifics, but for anybody who doesn't know the context to this, aside from what Mighty Mouse just said about Islam and the culture surrounding, the Muslim Brotherhood, so to speak, and all that portion of things, there was that aspect of it. And then there were also some comments about Cheeto Vera's daughter.
oh, well, okay.
Oh,
Well,
sorry. Okay, I don't know if that was another piece of this, but
so this is what was reported soon after. MMA Guru announces the Mighty Mouse has officially left the podcast. This comes after a 2019 clip resurfaced of MMA Guru making a joke on livestream about Cheeto Vera's daughter, who suffers from a neurological disorder. So that was
yeah,
what came out, and that's the story that everybody was going with. Go ahead.
right. Okay, so yeah, so that's the context of everything, right? So if
Well, there's
that's
more
also
context if you
okay,
want it real quick.
I mean, sure, I guess maybe
I,
that's
or
better
a
to
little
have
bit.
all of it all up front, just so that maybe
Guru
we all know
says
the whole thing.
neither of it's true. He says he left the podcast. It had nothing to do with the Vera video, which where over half of my videos is me telling people to not make the jokes about his daughter. My press conferences reactions have more offensive jokes. ... But you all ran with this one. Okay.
Yeah, fair. Is that it, or is there more after that?
Well, then people were quick to jump on and say, well, it wasn't that we just ran with this one, because this clip surfaced, and I'm not going to watch it, but I think the headline does justice enough. MMA Guru making jokes about lynching Israel Adesanya, leaving him a different type of Emmett. Crazy stuff.
Yeah,
But
that's wild work.
so go with that context for now, and then we'll get to the next portion of it. Go ahead.
And really, it not any one specific thing is like the thing. It's all just a string of the history of what the Guru does, how he presents his shows, the level of inflammatory language that he uses. These are known facts. So my point was that if him and Mighty Mouse had discussed it beforehand and said, look, I want you to be a different person on this show, and then Guru went against that, okay, that's a different story perhaps, but that doesn't seem what that is here. It seems like Mighty Mouse was just like, yeah, let's start. We had one good conversation where, because I think they did that interview together before the podcast started, and that sort of was the genesis of all of this. So that we had a good talk here. Let's try to just continue to do that. To think that personality that he brings to his content would not spill over onto the show, it's just very narrow-sighted, very short-sighted.
I'm about to cook you really hard, because that's exactly how we started this podcast.
The what?
I said that's exactly how we started this podcast. Not this one specifically, but podcasting in general. We hopped on a call, had a good one. We were like, let's continue to do this. Like,
Oh, well, right. But that's the thing though, is that we never had we don't have a history of going back to and like things that are potentially things we would disagree with though. Like I had seen your content before. I don't know how much of mine that you saw, but like,
a lot of it's fair.
But you know what I'm saying? So like, it's like we both sort of knew the level of what we were bringing to the table. Everyone knows the level of what the Guru brings to the table.
Facts. But before we go into this next piece of
Yes.
content, this next portion of the story here, the
Mhm.
next layer to this onion, we're going to go ahead and shout out the chat one more time.
Absolutely.
Obviously, Sarah Toby specifically, Free My Boy Guru is a funny comment at the time because now that we've gone into a lot of different things, it's just really funny. Anakin, obviously, love to see you. Let's go. Toby again. He didn't do this on the pod, just one of the. I made that comment.
Sure.
Fair to make the point that he didn't do any of this on the pod. And then TJF, MMA Joey rage baiting is the main comment that I wanted to shout out and go for, but I had to give everybody a comment shout out real quick. Do you know who
Absolutely.
MMA Joey is?
I am very familiar with MMA Joey, mostly because of my chat bringing him up to me and having me react to the
Okay.
things that he
Okay.
does. I go out of my way, or try to anyway, to like not engage in the infighting or like not infighting, but like I don't like to specifically comment on other MMA creators
Mhm.
because whatever they do is their business. If you like or don't like it, you are the audience. I am a creator. So as that, like I don't go out of my way to like criticize their presentation of what they do or their personalities, that kind of stuff. I comment on the sport and the people in the sport. The culture around it, I also comment on as well. So if it comes into my purview, then okay. But like I have commented on MMA Joey because he is constantly coming into my purview via the chat, and he does have some ridiculously bad takes. So.
Yeah, very, very funny. I'm glad you know who he is because I don't know who he is, but the very limited scope that I have of him, very, very funny that he's the anti-guru to this equation here.
Both of them to me are just two parts of the same shit sandwich in a lot of ways, but I
That's
don't
what
know.
I think is funny about it is the people I actually don't know personally if people actually are fans of MMA Joey or it's like an ironic thing, like just to spite guru thing, but they are both the same, and then both of their fandoms or quote unquote fandom for the other one, they act like they're so different, but they're literally the same. Like I don't know. MMA Joey has had terrible takes before, and he says some very shit things also.
Yeah.
Like
Well, and
so,
like I feel like this is the double-edged sword that this actually plays back into the main point here. We're talking about the end of this podcast. This is the double-edged sword that you risk when you present in the ways that these guys do with inflammatory content. Like when you are out there saying things that like are meant to rage bait when it's and I don't know how much of it is intentional or how much just is natural with that, but either way, when you have a presentation style that is like incites and elicits that out of an audience, then you are going to have a specific section of your audience that is going to be hate watching. That's just natural. Like I intentionally tried not to ever go down that road. Like, when I was like ideating what I wanted this channel to be, I was like, yeah, we could make the podcast that, like, we could just be going out here shitting on every single fighter and just talking about the culture, and shitting on all of these things and saying like outlandish, intentionally inflammatory things. But I never wanted to do that for this reason. A, because it's not my personality. It would be putting on a false front. And B, because then you end up with an ardent group of people who are constantly attacking you. So, and like, and with good reason, I would say, so bringing it back to this podcast that has shut down here, you knew the type of person that he was. I think that Toby saying that he didn't do it on that podcast, it does track. I mean, like as far as like why you'd think that this shouldn't have gone down this way. And again, this goes back to me saying that DJ, I don't think navigates his online presence very well. Like you to say that like you now are just finding out about these things, like even if you didn't do it on the show, that makes it even worse. You didn't do your due diligence on the person you were podcasting with. There really is no good, like I don't think DJ comes out of this looking good in any which way.
I think what's also key to note here, and nobody seems to be making the point, is we are in the community of the sport for the biggest promotion that just lets their fighters say whatever the fuck they want. Why is it all of a sudden that we care about what the content creators say? We could give a shit if the fighters go out there and say any of this, it's like hell yeah, he's a fucking Chad, bro. But if MMA Guru says it, it's like he's a fucking fat slag of a thing, you know?
No, well, no, I mean, I would think that the people who disagree with it would still disagree with it when Sean Strickland says it or when Guru says it. Like that maybe Sean Strickland's not the greatest example because he's also kind of an influencer. But like either way, like any fighter, regardless, pick up a fighter that says that type of stuff. You can still criticize them and still have that take, but then they go out and fight. these guys, all they do is talk. So it's like, there's a little bit of a difference there. But no, I don't think anybody is trying to say that the guru should not be saying this stuff on his own show. I mean, or that he should be like canceled, quote unquote, taken off deplatformed. Some people maybe, but
Well, I think I think the point that I'm making is even just like the congregation of the fighter and the content creator, the merging of the two right there. Now all of the sudden we care what the content creator has to say, and like why does the fighter, the fighter specifically coming from the promotion where anything goes, who cares what's said, as long as as long as you deal with it in the cage kind of deal or whatever. But I don't know. It's just a weird instance that we have
well,
two content creators going back and forth, but then we have Mighty Mouse in the middle of it, and he's like dejecting from it. Yet in his career work, anything could have been said, and
I don't
has
think
been.
that. But I don't think that the MMA Joey and Guru aspect of it played into the podcast aspect of things, or did it? Or was MMA Joey the one that broke the story about the Cheeto stuff, or
He's
broke the story? I know.
he's in a way he's claiming honor that he's the one that, I don't know, got in Guru's head and made him be outlandish as possible. And because he calls him out for it, he has two things he could do. He could turn it up or he could turn it way down. And either way, MMA Joey's the reason of it. Something like that. So
Okay, I mean, maybe I just don't know all of the full on details, but
he's like his fucking Lex Luthor is like basically what the hell the story's going. And I kind of dig it. I'm not going to lie.
I
So
mean, look, I'm sure it's a very interesting dynamic to the fans, and like if you keep up with this space, and that's a paradigm that is interesting to you, then fine, I guess. It's just stuff that I class it as noise. Like I don't listen to any of it because I have my own takes, I have my own show, so why would I care? But I don't know. I mean, I guess if maybe this is more interesting to like the people who don't. So
I think the 10-7 MMA, shout out you for
yes.
dropping by. I think you had a really good comment because I think in a short summary, that's what I'm saying. For the amount of shit everyone talks and how tough everyone acts, this specific online MMA community, they're seeming, a little distraught over words. It's not like these people are doing actual crimes,
Well,
so.
and what my point always comes back to is that you can feel that way and you can voice your opinion on that the same way that these guys are voicing their opinion too. Why DJ all of a sudden decides that it's a problem, I think that's what I have the problem with. Like you knew what he was, you knew what you were getting into. If he didn't do it on the show, that kind of plays even more into that point. Like he wasn't doing it when you were doing your show together. He was doing it from stuff. This is like years ago stuff. This really is like old school version of cancel culture. Them
Mhm.
digging up shit from years ago and then throwing it out there and being like, oh, like, shame this man. It's like you can have your opinions about these things, and voice your own. As I said, you can say you don't like these things. You don't have to listen to any of these people. So it's like you have the power as an individual to navigate it the way that Demetrius Johnson did. I think was a misstep.
I actually think we'll go back to another comment just because Mank. Now I'm thinking about it. Mank put only soy
Shout out to
boys
the Mank.
hate. Yeah, shout out for real. Only soy boys hate on DJ for this. Now that I think about it, he didn't stand his base like all these other MMA. Joey stand in his base. Guru stand in his base. But Demetrius Johnson now he's got to pull out because his partner is offending people. You know, I don't know. I actually think that's interesting to know that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get like again. It would be one thing if he was baited and switched into this. Like, if it's strictly off of things that were said in the past that were brought back to his attention after the fact, and this is influencing his decision making process. I think that it was just a miscalculation all around. You should never have endeavored into this with the guru. If you can't stand the heat, don't get into the kitchen in the first place, kind of thing. Like this guy comes with a set of circumstances that are controversial. He is intentionally controversial.
Mank, why is DJ not to blame here? Why, I look, 10 is saying his image is too clean here. It's a really good point. The sponsorship, him being friends with Islam and Habib, my friends, I'm friends with people, right? The people that I would call friends, if he calls Habib and Islam friends, that's fair. My friends know my personality is very jovial, you know. Uh, they would know that I talk a lot of things and I don't actually believe them. I can say them online to you right now, and I could never believe a word of it. We'll talk about that later, you know. But like, if Habib and Islam are your friends and they don't understand that you could be working with somebody who's playing a character, you know, I,
Well,
and you couldn't stand up for yourself in the way that like I'm gonna make millions of fucking dollars because this he's famous. Like I have the opportunity to work with him.
Well, I mean, I
He
think you
can.
should have more principles than that. If you like, I guess it depends on what the circumstances are with that. Like, if you know, you can say that if your friends kind of come first, which I would say that you probably should have that mentality, then okay. But again, like like it's entertainment. I is a perfectly fine answer for that. How about considering all of this before you do it? Is all that I would say. Because if he had sat there and said, you know, I understand that this guy has controversial takes, these do not represent me or my brand or whatever. You know, this is something you know, exclusive to what we're doing here. Like, you know, the views of the MMA guru do not represent Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, something like that. Again, because I understand the whole thing with the sponsorships and people that you have to interact with in real life. I get all of that, but this is something different in an entertainment context. So, and again, if it's not happening on that show either, then there really isn't anything to stand on with that either. They had to dig this up. So all of that being said, I mean, like you have to consider all of that, and if he did not, I think that that is the misstep here.
Yeah, I mean, and Mank, I think you're fighting your own point here. Business is business. I mean, I agree. That's why he joined in the first place. It's like he saw an opportunity to make money, to make big bucks right there. He saw Guru's name. He saw him being the biggest content creator in the MMA space. He is one of the greatest MMA, fighters of all time. He can solidify himself next to one of the best content creators out right now. And people for the longest time that people are coming up, they're going to remember that Guru and Mighty Mouse had a podcast together. And like that was going to be a good opportunity for him to just rake in so much money for the longest time. I mean, obviously he thought that he could keep them separate, keep your, he's trying to divide his food to make sure the mashed potatoes don't touch the gravy. So,
And it doesn't have to represent him just because he's on the show with him. When we're on the watch along, you were talking, Chase, earlier about, you know, how we have different watch alongs. You know, you're by yourself most of the time
mhm.
with that, and you've got your chat in your ear. Me and Vitz King do the watch alongs together. There are times when Vitz will say some stuff where I'm like, you know, I mean, that wouldn't be something that I would personally say, whatever. We're whatever. Like, I mean, like I chose to do the show with him. I know the kind of stuff that he says. You know, I know what his heart is. I mean, to extent too. So I mean, I guess that's something that you can kind of decide where your barometer lies with the guru. You know, it's like what how much of it is entertainment versus how much is he actually like there are any quote unquote hate in his heart kind of thing. Again, these are things that kind of fall on a personal level. But like for anybody to say, oh, when they're on the watch along together and Vit says something that represents the thoughts of me, I'd be like, fuck you. No, it doesn't. I
Mhm.
am my own person. I will say my own things. I speak for myself.
I respect that from you a lot because I oftentimes feel I'm not in charge of everybody, but like I'm overseeing the collective reputation that we have. If someone looks bad, it's gonna come back. They're gonna ask me why they're doing that shit. That's how I always feel about some things. Even with the Discord, of course. With the Hive. Setting a standard is hard. And following it sometimes harder. I do make my dark jokes every now and then. Me and Mank were talking about that. I do indulge in my humorous jokes from time to time, but there is a line that I think people should. I think collectively we should know not to cross just because like why like even TJF said it's like we're gonna forget about it before Christmas, so why even make it go to this extent? Make me content, I guess, so we could talk about it. But other than
Well, I
that,
mean,
like,
if you really want to break down that element of it, the crossing of the line thing, this goes to a deeper and broader point with the landscape of comedy in general right now. Because I would class a lot of what Guru does as comedy intentionally. You know,
mhm.
he is trying to he says inflammatory things for comedic effect. But my issue that I have with the presentation of comedy, and this goes way beyond the MMA world, this is again just comedy in general, is that you have to have a level of cleverness to the comedy to make it an actual joke. That is where a lot of people falter. Saying things for the sake of inflammatory language and thinking that in and of itself is the joke, it's not. It falls flat. So when you do that, you cannot be upset when people take offense to it because the cleverness has to be paired with it. If you don't have that, then all you're doing is being an asshole. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, Guru, I think can come off that way to a lot of people, and to me too. I mean, there are clips that I see of him. Like I talked about it on when him and Nina Drama were beefing with the reporter that he was making those comments, the
Mhm.
body quote unquote body shaming or whatever. Like, I'd made some statements about that. He was talking about Michael Chandler's kids at the time, and I was like, there's no joke here. The only joke is that his children are black. That was the only joke that like what he was saying. Like, there was no actual cleverness to it. So it's like, okay, then if that bothers you, then yeah, that it makes sense, and you should be able to say that. But like, again, so wherever you draw the line, that's going to be a person by person basis type of thing. But to think that DJ didn't know it is all what I'm coming back to with all of this.
Yeah, and 10-7, once again cooking. DJ was literally using Guru as a side chick. His wife found out. Now he has to act sorry. That's essentially what happened. And, I think it's best said, ask for forgiveness rather than permission. So, he figured he could get away with it. And he did for a little bit. And it's not like he did anything wrong. I'm not saying he got away with it like he was committing a crime. But, like, he did not think this was going to be the outcome, I guess. And maybe if he did, he got away with it longer than maybe he thought he would. But somebody since we saw from this past weekend, somebody from the Dagestani Brotherhood, as they are called now, probably pulled Demetrius Johnson aside and said, like, hey, your boy is saying some stuff. So.
And yeah, however much weight you put into something like that, that's on. We're talking about lines, right? Where you draw lines, how lines are crossed, and all that. If Demetrius Johnson has to answer to people in real life, or not even answer to them, but like that's like more for like sponsors and stuff, but he has to interact with people in real life. If they're legitimately coming to him man to man saying, "Hey man, that dude that you have on your show, like, I don't like that," then he is at a crossroads with that. Like, that's one of those things that he has to look at like inward to decide how he feels about that and how he wants to navigate it. So he made the choice here to say, that I value these connections more than whatever we were doing on the show. That's his business. And, it does, I would say it's probably unfortunate for both of them because I think the show is pretty successful, but that you're missing out on that revenue. I guess that's just the sacrifice you have to make.
Yeah, a couple different things that I'll say right there, and then we're going to move on.
Sure.
The show is probably not as successful as what we have going on right now. I mean, if you have not noticed, this chat is going crazy. One more time, shout out 10-7, Mank, John Dong for stopping by. Love to see you, my man. Toby, Sarah Toby, I think you're out there somewhere. Anakin, I think you're out there somewhere. Love to see you guys.
On fire tonight. Appreciate y'all.
And Hydra, I know you're out there, probably at, some girl's house, having a great time. When you show up here, make sure you give us a good shout out. So speaking of crossing the lines,
yes,
we have to go into our next topic.
All right.
We have to go into the next one. And this one is a little longer of a video, but I actually really enjoy the story here. So I really think we should watch the entirety of it. It's not like 15 minutes or anything, of course, but we're going to get into the story of what happened with Francis Ngannou and Dana White. This story that Dana is so vividly remembering all of a sudden is very crucial to what the image of Francis Ngannou is going to be proceeding forward now that we know all these other different aspects about him. So we're going to go in here and lock in real quick. Everybody grab your popcorn, of course. We'll read the chat. Make sure you guys are still getting going.
Ngannou is a bad guy. He's not a good guy. He plays the whole, I don't understand the language, and he tries to come off like he's a fucking nice guy, you know what I mean? And people go, oh, it's the language barrier probably. No, there's no fucking language barrier with this guy. He's a bad guy. I wanted to cut him early. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. So he's going in to fight Stipe Miocic in Boston. He knows he's going to fucking kill Stipe. So after the press conference, we're walking down this hallway, and he comes over to me and he grabs me. And he says, let me tell you what's going to happen. His English is fucking great, okay? No language barrier whatsoever. When this fight's over, you're going to book me a private plane to Paris. And I said, I laughed and said, oh yeah? He goes, I'm not joking. You're going to book me a private plane. Okay. So we go our own ways. Stipe Miocic beats the fucking shit out of him. So that ended that whole conversation. I should have fucking cut him that day. When you're an athlete that's signed by the UFC, you get full access to the
Apex
Performance Institute, and you can eat there for free. Everything's free, and do all this stuff. This guy was fucking living there, right? And he had just fought, and he comes up to my office. I said, come on in, what's going on? And he was pissed off that he didn't get a $50,000 bonus. Francis, you didn't get it because this, that. And he's in my office and he's arguing with me. The conversation's over. I'm starting to leave, and he grabs me by my shirt
Fuck.
and like pushes me back in my office. And I said, dude, get your fucking hands off me.
Those were the words that
Yeah.
came out of you when
Yeah.
Francis Ngannou
Yeah.
grabbed you by the shirt?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it
I would have
was,
been like, I hated this shirt. It's too tight.
Well, it's like
Snuggle me this shirt.
but it's no. I could see in this guy's face and in his eyes and in the way that he's acting who this guy really fucking is. You know. Then my guy Hunter they were talking about something. It might even have been the same thing. And when Hunter started to walk away, Francis grabbed him by the fucking back of his collar and fucking pulled him back. Said, we're not done talking yet. So this guy's not a good fucking guy. He's a bad guy. Now he's over and he's done a deal with PFL in Saudi Arabia. And now he's asking to fight. You know, me and John Jones need to fight, and fucking, I'm sure they wish they never fucking signed him. Because I know. I've dealt with him. I know who he really is. And yeah.
Okay. Where
Lot
would
to
you like to
unpack.
start there? Yeah, no, that's a really funny story. Let me start. The
Sure.
first funny thing that he says is Francis says he likes to trick people that he don't speak English. Well, he plays the do, I'm big. Really funny stuff from
Yes.
Dana. Also great stuff is that he dropped the hard bar. Get your fucking hands off me. I'm gonna call cap on that one, buddy. That's Francis Ngannou, pal. I don't know.
This is the whole thing, right? I mean, a lot of people are speculating that the entire story is just all cap. I mean, that's what I've been hearing from around the rumblings of the community, that this is just some shit that Dana made up on the spot. Now, what I will say about this is that in addition to this, I had posted in the Discord a while back. I did see an additional tweet from an employee of the UFC, or I think a former employee that was in the graphics department, who had said that in her time there, I think it was a woman too, which kind of, adds a little bit of a context to it as well. She said that she had some experiences with Francis where he was like looming over people's shoulders and kind of a little bit too involved in like the specifics of how people were doing their jobs and stuff like that. I don't know how that factors into all of this. That was just a little additional context to this story that he had put forward. So it's really kind of hard for me to like parse what is and is not real out of all of this, out of the entirety of it. But like you had said leading into this, it is kind of interesting that all of a sudden this is coming out almost essentially out of nowhere, really.
I'm glad you brought up the tweet from the potential worker or whatever, because there was also a tweet from a worker at a news station who said that Francis was very upset one day after Dana said something, and he put this wire down and Tony Ferguson tripped on it. Like, I literally saw a tweet that had something to do with that, and it was really funny. I couldn't do it verbatim, but it was really fucking funny to think about. But
Hilarious.
So this is a really, really funny story. And I said this in the Discord, and I don't think you got what I meant, because you put an emoji, like I think it was like the monocle one, like the thinking.
Yes.
I said, Dana says all this. This guy's a bad fucking guy. I can look him in the eye, and you just know this guy's not fucking good. He would not be saying this if this was a God-loving Christian like John Jones, because this is everything he loves in a person. Is if they're a fucking American and they love Jesus Christ. If it's Francis Ngannou, now it's the worst person in the world and he hates him at PFL, go fuck themselves.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get that aspect of it. I mean, I don't know if those specific characteristics are the thing, but like I do
just fits the
understand.
bill for John Jones.
Right.
That's all that
Yeah,
I'm saying.
sure. I do. Yeah, I definitely. We know this. I mean, we know that Dana has preferential treatment to certain people depending on how much they play ball. It all goes back to the same point that I make time and time again. Loyalty trumps all when it comes to the UFC. If you are loyal to the organization, they will be good to you. If you go against the grain in any way, they will not be. What I will agree with Dana on, though, and I think a lot of people are in the same mindset, that Francis Ngannou is absolutely fleecing the PFL. I mean, that I think has shown itself to be true. I mean, he goes over there, he gets an executive position over there. He's fought one time for the organization, went off to do the boxing thing. He didn't show up to PFL Africa. I mean, there's a lot.
I was going to say they're about to have their third African event, and no Francis.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that that's definitely true, and they can handle that however they want to. They actually have been kind of in a weird way a little bit like conspicuously silent about their feelings on all of that, because I think that they know it was such a major investment. they don't want to start coming out and muddying the waters even more by letting their true feelings be known. That being said, when it comes to this story here, it does seem rather far-fetched, but again, it's hard to know. People put on false fronts sometimes, and it's hard to tell what is real and what is not real. I don't know. I just know people wear masks. The masks we wear.
The thing that I'm going to say, and I'm really burning to say it because I think it needs to be said, because a spade is a spade. But Dana White he's been known to say that he's not afraid of the internet. So whatever I have to say here shouldn't even matter. But again, spade is a spade. If Dana White can look Francis Ngannou in the eye and tell that that's not a good man, I wonder what Dana White's wife was looking in his eye when he slapped her in the fucking casino or whatever the fuck that was.
Well, then. Yeah.
And I hate to be the one to bring it up, but I mean, if nobody else will, if I have to be the first one, I mean, listen, this dude is not one. I mean, he publicly did it, so who knows what's going on behind the doors? I'm not trying to be the one to say it, but that is something that happened. Francis Ngannou, I mean, even the chat just said it. John Jones has done way worse things than Francis. I ain't never seen a video of Francis slapping his girl up. I'm just saying, I'm Dana. Just don't be making the point that you could look at people and you could judge every book by the cover, and don't fucking play that game,
Yeah,
because we all can bring stuff up. But
absolutely, yeah. And again, this is just one of those things that I think is really a continuation of the Dana White vendetta against Francis, which has been going on since before he left the organization. Really, one that I remember very distinctly. It was a tweet that Francis had put out before he was cut, and it just said, "Why do you hate me?" He was talking to Dana. It was, why do you hate me? Like Francis was trying to figure out why the situation is what it is. So again, it's hard for us outside to really know all of the reality behind closed doors, but you are dealing with an organization that plays in a thuggery sort of mannerism, like, to begin with. This is the Dana White MO. He is the biggest gangster of them all, and don't get it twisted. You know what I mean? So yeah, he can come out here and try to portray whatever he's going to portray, and he always has a very specific and pointed way of presenting information. That's why, if you recall the press conference before the Canelo Crawford fight, where the reporter asked him a bunch of questions about TKO boxing and him entering the boxing world, and Dana White kept going back to, if you want to make this about you're trying to change the dynamics of this thing, I'll do an interview with you privately. You knew that interview was never going to happen, and the reason he was doing that was because you were catching him off guard. He is very, very particular about the presentation of information. When you try to play the gotcha game with Dana, he can't have that. It goes against the narrative that he is trying to present. So all of this to me just goes back to that same point. This is another part of the narrative that he is trying to make fact just by saying it. You print something enough times, then they become truth, regardless of whether they are or not.
Yeah, so I think those were all crucial to note. This was a very funny story for Dana to just pull out of the rabbit's hat, however many years later. Really, really funny stuff. I don't know what to take away from it. I don't know if Francis will ever have like a comeback, I guess we'll wait to see. If it hasn't happened yet, I guess it's not. But speaking of Dana White and his endeavors, there are other endeavors that are going on involving Dana White and his company, the UFC. So I would like to get into these real quick because
Sure.
TKO and DoorDash officially announced a partnership across the WWE and UFC. DoorDash is officially named the on-demand delivery partner of the WWE and UFC. What are your thoughts, Thinker St. James? Are you now invested in your DoorDash sponsorships?
Oh, let me tell you, I immediately ordered a 5-course meal when I heard this information. What the hell is an on-demand delivery partner do exactly for the organization, aside from being a sponsor that is a glorified one step above? Like, I don't even understand what this ends up meaning for the UFC. Now, WWE, I saw the speculation about them incorporating that into some of their storylines, perhaps. That, I guess, maybe makes a little bit of sense, but like, again, this just seems like a glorified sponsorship that I don't even really know why it's news.
Well, and I think what's funny too is you ask what this is and what this will mean, and I think I have an easy answer, and I think it's not the one that anybody will like. So when we were watching the weigh-in show, they had gotten DoorDash delivered. I don't know if anybody saw. They got DoorDash delivered, and then they got to eat Wingstop. So the sponsorship is literally for us to watch them fucking feed each other Wingstop on live TV. Like, there's no other real fucking answer to it. I mean, in theory, it's like, oh, I'm watching the UFC, I'm watching WWE. Let me order DoorDash. But like, that was already the case. Like, what other? You're the on brand official. Like, what does that even fucking mean? Are you gonna put a fucking gift card on the screen or something while I'm watching? Like, it's already an official app. What does being the official partner have to do? Am I gonna get on DoorDash and it's gonna have a UFC logo on it now? Like, I'm confused.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like, because they do this a lot of times out. You know, you'll have the the official beer sponsor and official this sponsor or whatever, and it's like, what does that entail exactly as far as like how the presentation to the audience goes? I mean, I really think that it's, again, just a normal sponsorship that they're elevating to a little bit of a higher status.
It's getting deeper than this. So I think we're getting into laundering territory, because the next, yeah, you make that face, but I'm not kidding.
Okay.
The next layer to this, I don't
Uh-huh.
know if you saw, Hasbullah was in the cage after Islam won, and he had his DoorDash bag, right, empty, just for promotional pictures.
Sure.
Why this is key, and I know you may not have seen this yet, but we're going to play the clip. I haven't seen the clip. I saw the headline. We're going to watch the clip. Everybody, be prepared for the madness you're about to hear.
Okay.
Might go Hasbullah on that one.
Oh, does he have a position within the corporate office?
He does, actually.
What is it?
He has a licensing deal with us.
So he's being paid for his services because he's giving you guys so much good promotion.
Yeah. Well, you know, he wants to come to all the fights, especially, you know, when Habib was fighting and Islam and, you know, Umar. You know, he's a big supporter of all those guys. So
Okay.
I like being able to not only bring him to these events and take care of him, you know.
Who would? He's so cute.
I thought you might go.
The
So
comment at the end was kind of,
yeah, guy.
maybe he doesn't understand it's a grown man.
I
also.
know it's I hate Hezbollah. I really, I don't like everything that surrounds him and all of that. I mean, obviously he has a disability, whatever you could, you know, I respect all of that aspect of it, but just like, I don't understand the fascination with him because of that. So I'm just like, I don't like what he brings to the equation in this sport.
Why is that the comment you make? Mate, he just told you that Hasbullah is on UFC payroll, and I started this conversation with money laundering, and you were like,
Yeah, well, no. So,
way.
I mean, explain yourself though, because I mean, Hezbollah is an influencer, so that all makes perfect sense to me. I mean, they have him on the payroll. He's continuing to be a presence at these shows because he has a massive audience online. What's the where is the laundering coming into play here?
It's just crazy that this man actually gets a paycheck just for being a fan of the sport. I mean, Dana literally is telling you, right? Like, I know it's the sponsorship, he's the social influencer thing, but once again, it's just a man that we personally don't really care for. But Dana's,
It's influencer marketing. He is Nina Drama.
you know, it's just crazy to me that this is the reality we live in. You know, Hasbullah has gotten to the level where he gets paid by the UFC just to be a fan. Where's my cut, Dana?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, that goes into all of the, you know, what you bring to the equation for them and vice versa. I think that it's a poor investment, but we know this is it goes to a deeper thing with Dana and influencers in general. Everybody talks about the Nelk boys and that big cash gift that Dana gave to one of them for their birthday, as opposed to paying the fighters more money kind of thing. Dana has this weird sort of warped view of social media and social media influencers and influencer marketing that just crops up in weird ways. Do you know about the suitcase video with Dana? Do you know what I'm talking about with this, where he with the girl in the suitcase?
Yes.
Okay, so that video is a great example of this. Random influencer, I think she might have been an OnlyFans model. I think, I mean, or either that or someone in, you know, adjacent to that world. And they do that short little clip of her with the, you know, inside the suitcase, and he's wheeling her around. This is like, anytime that Dana gets into this world, it always feels like Unk is trying to understand technology that is beyond his capability of understanding.
Props to him though, because he's way ahead of the game. I mean, he's definitely doing the right moves. I mean, I wouldn't be I would not be pushing the woman around in the suitcase while she's just like a head popped out of it. But you know, I'm not the one making millions and billions of dollars. So he obviously knows what's up. So him signing Hezbollah, I think it is interesting. Obviously the laundering thing was a little jokey, exaggerated, but it does make you question who else is hired by the UFC to do God knows what if Hezbollah has a fucking paycheck.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, again, Nina Drama is an employee of the UFC. Like that. I really think that people need to like wrap their heads around these kinds of concepts, because people have this like view of Nina that like, you know, she just, oh, she has all of this access, and, you know, it's like, oh man, you know, like would she sleep her way to the top or whatever like that. It's like, no, she is an employee. Hezbollah, an employee. All of these little influencer people that you see orbiting the sport are somewhere on the take. I mean, you know, and again, it goes both ways, like, because what they get out of it is they have access to the sport like nobody else does. So that's what, when I brought up the Nelk boys, they constantly are having Dana on the show. They have access to fighters. It's a two-way street. Why they choose the influencers that they choose, that is a, you know, something that I couldn't necessarily tell you, you know, what the reasoning is. But really, I think if you dig down deeper into it, Hezbollah, he just said, you know, the Islam and Habib connections, that I guess tracks, big audience over that in that region of the world for Hezbollah. You know, a little bit of exposure from that. Nelk boys in the United States. Nina Drama is an influencer in the MMA space now because of her content. You just got to dig down into it and then just sort of recognize it for what it is, and not like latch onto it, because really, if you also dig one layer deeper, it is the attention that we give it that gives it the power in the first place.
True, that's a fair point. Well, if you want to talk about giving it the attention and giving the power to the creator, I guess. I mean, I guess we're gonna find out
Well,
what.
before you move on, I do want to shout out to KK boy over here, saying he is so tiny and cute. I mean, yeah, see, this is, again, keep in perspective, this is a grown adult man that you are speaking about when you say that.
Yeah, this is definitely a man that you could pick up and go, wee! Like
And John
yeah.
Jones has.
Yeah, true. We won't speak about anything else that John Jones has done with Hezbollah. We will just go on to this is a great segue. Speaking
Sure.
of John Jones and Hezbollah, we have definitely got to get into this next segment here. The Epstein files have definitely been looked into by Bilal Muhammad. He has seen enough, and he has to take word. Everybody, sit back.
I think he's one of the best strikers in the UFC. Like I said, I got a 17-year-old now, Nacho's younger brother, who's a monster, right? It feels like the Epstein files without the, you know, the sex, right? I'm getting their powers through sparring and training. So it feels good, and I love training every day with these guys. I'm learning from probably 28, and I think he's one of the best strikers in the UFC.
Okay, comment. Go ahead.
I mean, why? Okay, I want to try. I want to try to give Bilal the benefit of the doubt, because you know, okay, but no, hear me out. Sometimes you start a sentence and then you're just stuck in it. And that is what that sounds like to me, is that he started a thought, he got too far into the thought, and he just couldn't course correct. But what you got to do, Bilal, when you're in that, is you have to just stop yourself. You have to say, oh, no, you know, let me not say that. And then just instantly change the subject and get as far away from what you just said as possible, never letting it out in the first place.
Yeah, because, you know, Bilal is kind of one of these guys that, you know, practices what he's going to say. He says this in the mirror every day before he comes to the press conference, and he's ready to drop his Epstein files line.
You thought that was a pre-prepared line?
Mate, if Epstein is like on the cusp of his brain, he's fucking fried for life. Like, he's done. If like, that's almost worse than like the Charlie Kirk comment from like Izzy, like this is the I call this the Kirk shot. You know, like, it's just like, where was the joke that you were like coming up with? Like, Bilal, like, even with KKF, like, I get it, but weird delivery, like, it's just a weird thought process to have. Like, well, who was that joke for if it landed? If you would have dropped the bar, like, bro, we are over here like the fucking Epstein Islands. We don't fuck no kids over here. It's like, okay, like,
yeah, I mean, that's the problem, right? Is that, so anytime that you would like even start down that path, you better have it goes back to the comedy thing, really. I mean, like, you know, you better have something very clever to pair with that because you are framing it around something that is instantly going to draw a negative attention to it.
Yeah.
Like, why do you start down this road if you don't have something really impactful to say thereafter?
Yeah. I think what I think about is what's the Dazed and Confused. You know what I love about high school girls is they stay the same age. It's like, what in the fuck? Like, okay, brother.
And
Either way.
there are so many other ways to say what he was trying to say in a better way that is not that. What he's saying is that, oh, I
Yeah,
absorbed
break it down for us.
well, he's saying I'm absorbing the skills of these younger fighters and it's making me better. Is basically what he's saying. There, bro, that is an anime bar ready to happen right there. I guarantee. I don't know Vitz would know the anime. I don't know which anime has that as a storyline, but I guarantee you that there's an anime that has somebody taking the powers of someone else in a way that has nothing to do with potential R wording of children.
I can totally see what KK was saying. He did. He said he
No.
dropped the joke already and then tried it again.
This is a repeat.
So he dropped the bar. Had a couple yes men give him like, yeah, that was good, and then he got to the reporters and they're like, yeah, never mind, dude. Fuck no. Fuck.
Oh my god, dude, that is so bad. That's so bad that's a repeat, dude.
Yeah, two jokes. Like that's how you know there's no improv to the brain there. It's like it's just systematic. I know one joke. It worked.
Well,
I got to use that with all the other friends. I got to use that on the other friend group now.
For sure. And actually, I took it away, but I do want to highlight this too because I think Toby's making a great point. Classic case of someone with no personality trying to do something. It's when you don't have charisma naturally and can't be off the cuff, then you have to go that much farther into trying to make something work and forcing it to work. Colby Covington is a perfect example.
That's exactly what I thought about this too. And even when we keep describing it, it's like somebody who's trying to, this is totally a Colby moment. Like this is Bilal becoming Colby Covington for sure. I agree. Go ahead.
Which is something that everybody should aspire to, is to become that. I mean, come on, dude. Like this is the problem with the nature of this sport for people who are not that guy is that you have to try to become that guy in your own mind and have an air about you that is not natural to you. And it comes off inauthentic every single time, bro. Just be yourself and let it be. That's the thing. Bilal would get so much more respect, in my opinion. Bilal would get so much more respect if he would just say, fuck y'all. I don't care what you think about me. Fuck y'all. You don't like my style. You don't like me. I don't give a fuck about anything that you have to say. That to me, I'd be like, balls, bro. Good for you, because that's the only thing you can do when you are the way that you are. But he doesn't. He tries this, and this is the reaction you get.
Bilal has a couple moments that I feel like he was himself, and I think it worked for him. And I feel like maybe he just doesn't tap in. So when Leon, tried to make him flinch, he didn't flinch. I thought that was a good moment from the Bully B. I was like, man, that's Chicago shined through right there. Like that was good. Shout out Bilal. The second moment, and this is getting into our next clip, so it's gonna wrap around, but I should have shown this clip first. It would have made a little more sense, but we're gonna go into this next clip. Remember, Bilal Muhammad is at the cusp of this when I get into this clip, so we're gonna go into this next one real quick. Kamaru Usman apparently is remembering that he has podcast clips and footage. He remembers that he has video archives of things all of the sudden. So I'd like to
acknowledging.
Yes, he's acknowledging not the Bully B thing. That. This is a different thing. But it should make you believe that clip still exists, and he does not willingly want to put it out because of this.
The head kick that we heard around the world. Yeah. I was dropped one time ever in my career. That was by Michael Johnson. At practice. I had just fought, and then I took like 2 weeks off, and then I came back, jumped right into sparring with the Michael Johnson
who at the time was so fast,
and was 3 weeks away from a fight. He was in shape.
Yeah.
And Michael, and I went a whole 5 minutes with him, and Michael, towards the end of sparring too, it's not great. Michael put it on me.
Yeah.
On me to where he sat me down. And it's funny, I have the video still to this day. And of course, Rashad has it in the archives.
Please.
He makes sure He reminds you.
He probably like,
of
yo,
the
if you
video.
ever get too out of line, I
Oh
still have
man!
this.
Oh my God! I'm surprised the video hadn't come out yet. But he sits me down, and I fall down. When I sit down, sit back. I fall down on my arm like this to where my arm out. But it just goes to show, even at that time, and even to today's day, how special Michael Johnson was, because Michael was such a great combination of speed and power for a little skinny guy like that.
Yeah.
Oh, he'll put it on you.
He was.
Yeah.
He was good. But that, we'll get into Rashad Evans a little later, but that's your brother. Because if he wasn't, that would already have surfaced.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
If he wasn't your brother, people would have seen that video, because people always, especially in today's world, clout chasing, you become the champion. That would have leaked at that moment, but obviously he cares about you too much.
Okay. So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so when I saw this clip, or when I read the headline, I just saw the clip, and the ending, actually, DC's asking a weird question, but the clip itself of him talking, the headline that I read, is like, yo, now you are really truly a master of hoarding media files, it seems. Like, one, you're able to keep track of them so you never lose them. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've ran out of space on my fucking cloud device. Like, I delete the photos every so often. So the fact he's able to keep two different things from resurfacing, pretty legit. But it also shows me that the only other time that Bilal Muhammad was ever himself was when he slapped up Kamaru Usman on his own fucking podcast and made Kamaru Usman never upload an episode with him in it. So, I mean...
Yeah, release the Usman files apparently over here, right?
Well, and I actually think that's really funny. Like, it is crazy to me that this is not a bigger story to everybody. Bilal could have so much hype if this was like a true, like, it is a true thing, obviously, to me, because Usman is, he will not release the podcast.
I don't think there's any dispute that it happened. I think that everybody knows, like, I think even Kamaru would well, maybe he doesn't like actively admit it, but like, I think everybody knows that it's, I don't think there's anybody disputing that was like what it actually was. We just haven't seen it to like confirm what it was or was not, but there was an incident, because if it didn't happen, then why didn't the episode come out,
Yeah. And I think Bilal, he could have so much aura, and it's unfortunately not himself to be that guy that would go around saying, I bitched the fucking pound for pound dude of 2022 or whatever the fuck it was. That's not him personally, but the only two times that I've seen him be himself is when Leon tried to punk him and did not get punked, and then when Kamaru Usman apparently tried to punk him and he did not let that fly, which, again, I'm not the biggest Bilal fan in the cage, but the way that he acts outside the cage, I mean, it definitely seems like he's kind of a Chad. Like, and it sucks that he doesn't give the reputation of that. And I think that's something that I could also understand. Like, I could set the two things aside. I can separate the artist and the art. This guy, I do think, like, outside of the cage, he's fine. Like, it's nothing that I hate about him. Like I said, he's a Chad. Like, there's some things that I respect about him. In those moments, you stepping up to Usman, I mean, on his own podcast is pretty crazy. And you got little midget Cejudo sitting right over there. I mean, it's pretty funny. Anyway. So,
well, yeah, and I was gonna say, it's funny that you mentioned Cejudo, because like, he actually has like flecks of Cejudo, in my opinion. Like, they're not exactly the same, but like, there are similarities, because Cejudo is a person who, obviously, we know the king of cringe element of him, the cringiness, whatever, and he trying to lean into that, and it's even worse. But he will occasionally come out with a banger line every once in a while, and you're like, damn, Cejudo actually dropping some legit knowledge or some legit funny stuff. Bilal, I think, is like one of those people too. He's a broken clock in this sport. Broken clock is right twice a day kind of thing.
Yeah.
That I think is exactly the same deal. So like, you just have to be yourself, I think, and that's the hardest thing for a lot of people to be.
Yeah, I can get that. Some people, listen, I've said it before, being a human is hard. Bilal Muhammad, I do not blame you for struggling, it seems, with the social cues and the comedic timing, and or the relevance of the jokes that you're using. I would say the Epstein files are not something that you should key into when it comes to banter. But who am I to say? I don't talk to that many people, let alone reporters. I honestly, if I did have a bunch of reporters flashing cameras who I felt didn't really care about me, I might say some outlandish shit too, just to fuck with them. Like, why wouldn't you? I mean, they don't care about me. You don't really care what I'm saying. It's not like I don't care. Whatever. I think
I mean,
there's a
but
lot of
see,
ways to think about it.
that would be great if that's actually what it was. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if he was that type of person to just go out there and just say outlandish shit and just, let the cards fall as they may. Again, another version of a person that might actually get a little respect from people. Damn, well, I'll just be saying whatever, you know what I mean? But it's like, no,
Manel Cap. You just be saying whatever.
bingo there. But what does Manel Cop do? He is himself. That is who
Yeah.
he is. That's how you know that he's the way that he is for real, because he's a little wild card. You know what I mean? We know this about him, and he portrays himself. Bilal, especially after what KK was saying, where he's saying, oh, this is something that he actually actively had auditioned on another show, got feedback from it, and then redid. You're getting the pre-rehearsed, you're getting a version of a person that's not the actual authentic, genuine article.
100%. Yeah, I definitely can see that. Well, I think that's the last thing that I wanted to note on the Bilal situation. It is key. He is fighting this weekend.
Yes.
Everybody, make sure you are there. Get your popcorn ready. It will be a long fight, I'm sure. But
well, and really, I mean, the last note that I have about that is that if you are a young up and coming fighter out there, just be careful training in Chicago with Bilal, because you might end up in some files that you don't want to be a part of, and your aura might be absorbed through striking.
yeah,
But only striking, only through striking. That's
yeah, yeah, exactly. Nothing else, just striking. But either way, speaking of just striking, this is actually a very good segue. Speaking of just striking, specifically just punching, I would like everybody to be introduced to the newest phenomenon of MMA, people going to boxing and fighting more MMA people coming to boxing. This is the newest thing that we love to get into. Anderson Silva was supposed to be fighting Chris Weidman at 195 pounds or something shit like that, and now Chris Weidman is hurt. Probably that cursed leg that he has. That thing is just oof. Either way, now we got Tyron Woodley coming in here, and I don't have much to say since it's boxing, but like, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of it, but I also respect that these are fighters who want to continue being athletes in combat sports. It's not like they can just give it up immediately. Like, they still have the void of wanting to compete. Boxing is a lot safer for them at this point, and it's also this sort of celebrity style exhibition, it seems, like we saw with Anderson Silva and Chael Sonnen. So who knows what's going to be here? I don't know if you have anything that's to note, but it is key. There's something happening.
Well, one thing I want to explain is that when you get older, your joints, when the weather changes, sometimes the weather has an impact on your joints. Your knees start to get a little bit sore when the weather changes. I think that really what happened here is that Chris Weidman's rod probably was affected by the weather change, and it's just something that is so bad that it took him out of this fight altogether. That's what my gut instinct is saying here. Chris Weidman is reeling from an impending Christmas that's coming just around the corner, and
New Jersey's probably really cold right now.
It has to be. It's got to be. So I mean, shout out to him. Obviously, went through a lot with the break, and continuing to go through it now. When that leg starts acting up, I mean, it's a steel rod inside of your body. When it's cold outside, that steel retains temperature. So
that's a really good point. And if that's the only thing you have to note, I think the next one we can move on to quickly, because this is boxing. We don't necessarily specialize in boxing.
It is MMA fighters. What I will say about this is what I said about the Weidman version of this and any other version of this. Who gives a fuck at this point with this? Like, it's fluff to me. I look at it as fluff. This whole card is fluff. This is the Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua card, I believe that this is the co-main for, I think, or it's on that card anyway. I don't know if it's the co-main or not, but either way, this is it's a bunch of fluff, because these people are names from a previous era in a different sport. Mm-hmm. What will this be? The two of them, especially now, Tyron Woodley coming in probably off the couch to fill in a slot here. It's going to be old Anderson Silva, still moving well for an old guy, I mean, and you're going to be like, damn, Anderson Silva can still stick and move. And yeah, that's going to look great. And it's going to be the two of them dancing around, play fighting each other. That's all it's dumb. It's just dumb shit.
What's crazy is you're speaking about how old Anderson Silva is, and how decent he may look in the boxing ring. But I want you to understand that this is not the only MMA fighter going to boxing that we are going to see in the times coming soon. We have another one, Mr. Tony Ferguson. He is back, boys and girls. Misfits Boxing. interim middleweight title, December 20th in Dubai. We are saved. Tony's going to become champ again, guys.
He's gonna
Interim champ.
retain. He's gonna retain. Well, I mean, say that. How is this? Yeah, why is this an interim belt when Tony won the belt in the first place? Unless it's a different weight class, maybe. I guess that's probably what.
Oh, he's going to be a 2-time champ. He's going to be an interim and a belt holder. Wow. The fight before Christmas, by the way, is a pretty bars kind of.
I just noticed that as you were saying it too. Yeah, I actually do. Shout out to Misfits for the graphics on this, because that is kind of fire. No, yeah, Tony beat the Salt Poppy, and that was for a belt. He got a belt from that, so I got to assume that this is a different weight. That's the only thing that makes sense to me why this is an interim title. But yeah, who is Warren Spencer? Is this another influencer person? I have no idea what is this?
Chat, if you have any insight on Warren Spencer, please go ahead and drop your links right now and let us know if this dude is legit or not. We know Tony Ferguson is legit. We know that he is handicapped in this because he is unable to use his hands to reach in his pocket for his sand. But
Facts.
Other than that, we know he is still going to pull off a W. The streak is back alive. He is on his way to a belt. Spencer sucks. Oh God, never mind. Yeah. So we're boxing it is. Glad that we got to talk about it. If there's anything else that you have to note about Tony Ferguson, I think this is a great segue to go to the next one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I will say is
he did get choked out by Dylan Dennis.
This is the guy that choked out Dylan Dennis.
Got choked out by Dylan Dennis.
Yeah, got choked up. Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah, that Dylan Dennis choked out. Yeah.
Yes.
This was that dude. Okay, all right. Well then, yeah, easy dub for Tony for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, all that I'll say about this is I know a lot of fans are very happy to see Tony in the win column in any respect. And I'm happy for them as fans of Tony that is the case. I think it's hard to class these as wins. You know what I mean? Like, yes,
hater.
Look, I'm not a hater. I'm happy as
pro
well
boxing bouts, by the way.
It's true. It is. It's on his pro record. Absolutely. I am happy to see Tony in the win column, just like everybody else in that regard. You can't deny that it's certainly it's apples and oranges is what I would say. It's like it's a different world, not just different sports, but it's a different level of sports within the different sports. So, I mean, I think that these are slightly hollow victories, I would say personally, but if you're happy for Tony, then I'm happy for you that you're happy.
You know what I think is interesting is Tony, for the entirety of his career, he was never ironic about his personality. He wanted to fight the best of the best because he thought he was the best.
Authentic, like what we were just talking about. Authenticity.
Right. Now we see Tony, and like, does he truly believe like this is the best of the best that he can be at this point? Like, I feel like it's so weird to see, like, is he finally being ironic? Like, when he sits at the podium at a fucking Misfits boxing press conference and he's got his sunglasses on and he's got his fucking what the fuck is the character, Daredevil, his fucking nightstick, when he's got that shit sitting across the table and he looks like a fucking G and he's got fucking wristbands and shit on, does he truly believe that he's the best in the boxing business, or is he just into the character now? Like, that's what I think is cute.
I would say, I mean, I think that it's a valid question, but I would say that there is no irony to it whatsoever, because if you saw, which we were watching the Misfits boxing card that he won on stream,
he was trying his heart out, is what you're saying.
He not only was he trying, and to his credit, I mean, looked fine. I mean, again,
the Salt Poppy was good, is what I heard.
And right, I remember that point. This guy actually takes the sport somewhat seriously. He, looked like he was doing pretty decently. Whatever. Tony, after the victory, is what I'm talking about, though, because Tony on his knees, thanking the Lord, tearing up over this win in Misfits boxing. I don't think that you can really fake that, and that in and of itself was slightly concerning, I would say.
I don't know if you're not the biggest fan of basketball. There is a player who is actually, funny enough, going through some alleged scandals with some assault on a family member right now. Patrick Beverley is a very funny individual because there is one game, the NBA implemented a play-in tournament. They're like, okay, we need more people to compete for the last spots of the playoffs. So we have a play-in tournament to get into the playoffs. Patrick Beverley led his team to win the play-in to get into the playoffs. He's jumping on the fucking podium, throwing his fucking jersey in the crowd. We love you. And then they get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. It's like, you know, it's like know your fucking time and place. But you know, with Tony Ferguson, that's the exact thing it is, and I'm pretty sure that meme was spread around. Like, it's just crazy to think that this dude, it, what he used to be, the irony. It sucks that it's not ironic anymore because now I feel bad. Like he's really celebrating his life out. You're right. I do remember that now. Like he against the Salt Poppy, bro. Like I just either way.
Yeah, look, again, that's what I go back to what I led in with. If you're happy, if you're a Tony fan, and this makes you happy, just seeing him win in any capacity, then great. You know what I mean? Take that and put all the rest out of your mind. You know what I mean? Like you just divorce it from the the reality of what the win actually is. You're good. Then take that and run with it. And Tony can do the exact same thing. Just happy to get a win, period. He's in a, maybe something that's better suited. And we were just talking recently on the, well, actually, this was on the watch along. I was talking about how I don't personally, it is my personal opinion, everybody can have their own, but I don't personally think that there is any shame if you are on the tail end of your career in the UFC to you yourself decide to say, I think it would be smarter for me to go and fight in karate combat or to go into the PFL or whatever. If
just not boxing is what your point is,
or any boxing too, whatever it is. Where if you are in a place where you are consistently losing in the UFC and you want to get back into the win column, maybe make a little bit more money before your time in the sport is completely out, or combat sports in general, regardless of what it is. If you make that conscious decision, I think that as a business-minded individual, I see no shame in it personally, because I think.
So why are you upset at Tyron Woodley and Anderson Silva? Why is that?
I'm not upset at them. I'm upset at the culture around that. Okay. That supports
the celebrity style version of the boxing events.
Yeah, that we feed into that and allow that to be the level that it is. That's what bothers me. Yeah, if somebody wants to pay them to do it, then go ahead and get the money. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think there's two different versions of what we have right now. We have the MMA people that transition to the boxing that we truly believe like this is something that they could thrive in. I want to see how they do in boxing. You have your Connors, your Francis, Mike Perry is an exception as well too, and then you have your people that when they go to boxing, it's like they're going to do the celebrity style where it's not even them competing legitly. Like, I don't know, like Tony Ferguson here, it is legitly, but like, it's not against like a top level boxer to like what the images that we know of Tony Ferguson compared to what he is as a boxer now. It's just, I don't know. It's just night and day differences.
Yeah. It's for the bag. I mean, that's fine. I mean, like, get the bag. If the bag is available to you and you still have the draw, the star power, the name recognition to do that, I'm not mad at that aspect of it at all. I think it's a definite fall from grace for Tony. We know that, the whole circumstances there and what led to all of this. So that's fine that he's out there doing this. You just have to be cognizant of the reality of it. Same thing with Silva and Woodley. I mean, I find it laughable that the dynamics are such that it allows for it. I think that's the issue there.
So, speaking of getting a bag and everybody being able to figure out a way to get theirs, I'm curious if this next person that we're going to show, and this does have some relation to Tony, because this is somebody that, Tony was able to run out of the UFC and, scare him off, of course. So we're going to get into this next clip of Khabib, obviously making a good moment. That some gifts are more than value. Key to note their value. What is he talking about there? They carry meaning. The papaka, whatever this is, his hat.
Papka, the hat, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Tomorrow, I will give you my biggest gift. To note, this was yesterday. Oh, today's the day. Sorry, this was today. Sorry. We're gonna watch his little video.
All right.
Some gifts carry more than value. They carry meaning.
That's it.
At Telegram, I think that logo.
So whatever this may be, whatever it is, I don't know, don't care. It's probably a crypto scheme again because I'm sure he's done this already.
Yeah, Popka coin incoming is what it seems like. Could be. I mean, like I said, I think that was the Telegram logo, which is another social
Maybe
media.
Facebook Messenger. I don't know. It's all the same shit, ain't it?
Yeah, no, I mean, well, I don't know. Look up the Telegram logo. I mean, what does that even mean? If that's the
It doesn't mean anything. No, that is the Telegram logo.
Okay, so I mean, yeah, but so what is he starting a Telegram group of some sort?
No, it's
Maybe
just going to be a link to his Telegram that says "Buy my crypto."
that very well could be. So yeah, I mean, look, we have MMA has seen a litany of classic rug pulls in its time. I mean, the Hamzat has had a fantastic. I did a whole video on that. We've had plenty of them. The Paul brothers, notorious for that. Of course, not MMA, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, there are so many MMA crypto schemes. If that is what this is, I mean, obviously we'll have to find out exactly what he is referencing here, but whatever it may be. I mean, Habib, I've said many times that Habib is a complex character, and I don't mean that as a compliment. I think that there is he comes with his own set of circumstances. He's not as he likes to try to play this air of having a lot of honor. And obviously the whole the relationship with his father Abdulmanap and all of what he did. I really do believe that Abdulmanap was a great man. I think that he did a lot of great things for Dagestan and for the culture in that region. I think that Habib is a little bit farther from the tree. I think the apple didn't fall too close to the tree on that one. And you see it with his evasion of taxes. You see it with the controversies that surround his gym. You see it with Eco
Nate,
FC.
I hate fucking taxes.
Well, look, no one likes them, but death and tax is the only inevitabilities in the world. So
listen, but I'm just saying, I don't blame him for that part of it. Now, the gym thing, I will be on your side about that. The hinkiness going surrounding the people inside of his gym and what they do in their extracurriculars, that is very concerning. But taxes, man, oof. I know. I tell you, chat, listen out there. If you hate taxes, drop a like.
Legit. Yeah, lots of likes for that, I'm sure. I mean, the Tasteful Thickness coming in. Appreciate you, brother. Saying, even the president of Argentina had a crypto scheme. Yeah, did the
Donald
entire
Trump
country.
coin exists.
Bingo, exactly. And there's an MMA crossover right there. I mean, I think Dana was promoting that for a little small minute. So, yeah, I mean, look, it's a tale as old as time when it comes to the crypto game. If that's what this is, we don't know exactly what this is. So, I mean, it could be something different, but it would probably seem that way. All I know is that Habib is not always the greatest representative of himself, his team, et cetera, et cetera. And we see that. It's what I was saying about even in small ways, like when he was jumping on the microphone when Islam won. It's like, why is this now a Habib interview? Like, or when any of his fighters win, is just there and he's like the face of the brand. Like he's got elements to him that I think are a little bit shifty. I'm not a hater too much though, because I do think that he was, he did a lot of important things in the sport. But I recognize him for what I believe him to be.
This is all valid. And, speaking of people with crypto schemes and anything surrounding those different intricacies that they be bringing along with them, I'll tell you somebody that is not as dedicated as Habib. Maybe they are, but when it comes to taking care of themselves, they are obviously not on the level of Habib, because this is somebody who's never going to make it to 30-0 because Hamzat is now out until April, everybody. Has anybody realized that this dude got the belt and now he is fucking yanked that shit from us? Like, golly.
Let me tell you how shocked I am, Chase. When I heard that Hamzat was going to have another extended layoff, I was just like, for a guy who was, it really was the Kevin McAllister. It was Home Alone, the hands on the cheeks, all the whole 9 yards. A guy this active to be laid off like this, it just out of left field.
Yeah, 100%. It's crazy because, and actually, I'll go back to a third reason why you should root for Bilal. Bilal went through one of the worst foot surgeries that you could have seen in the sport, is what they say. He could have lost his toe.
If you saw the picture of it, it actually was legitimately bad.
So the fact that he had the belt, came back and fought not relatively soon after that happened, I'll give him props, not going to lie.
Bilal has a lot of redeeming qualities that get overshadowed by his his himness.
In comments.
Yeah, well, right. That as well. Yeah. Look, as far as this goes, again, yeah, obviously not shocking news. Excuse me. Uh, whether it's an injury, whether it's an illness, whether it's weight, et cetera, with Hamzat, we all were concerned. We were talking about this on the podcast before the title fight. Even before he was when he was still in the running for the title fight, saying if Hamzat gets the belt, how is that going to affect the activeness of the division? Well, here's your answer.
Yeah. It's just crazy to me that everybody was right. Everybody was right all along. There was some people, I believe, shout out to the bank. We were actually having a discussion about it. Dean Thomas, we believe, was somebody who was discussing about this early on, that it's a bad idea for Hamzat to be thrown right into the belt and get it, because he's going to be inevitably sidelined for a lot of different reasons, and it's only going to hold up the division and we're all going to hate it. So he was ridiculed when he said that. A lot of people were just, you're hating, dude. Hamzat's the next king. He's coming to get that belt, yada, yada, yada. But now we're actually going to see the reality of it, and we're going to see a fucking interim belt in this fucking division. And Jesus fucking Christ. And it's going to be Sean Strickland, and it's just going to make me hurt my head.
Yeah, no, I mean, very likely that is the case. And then, how long do they drag out a champion that cannot defend a belt? And this also goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the preferential treatment for certain people. Like, you have certain champions, and Francis is actually one of those champions. If you recall, when Francis, he needed to take a little bit of time off. It was not even a large amount of time. He had defended the belt. This was the fight with the Cyril Gane, where he had to wrestle a whole bunch. He had the knee problems, and then he beat Cyril Gane, and they wanted him to defend the belt almost immediately thereafter. He said that he needed time to recover, and they were like, "All right, well, we're going to strip you." So, where the difference there, people get different treatment. So, how long do you think that Hamzat ends up just sitting on the belt because the organization likes him better?
What I think is funny is, and it just shows the difference in level of competition and the different mindsets of fighters. Yuri Prohaska injured his shoulder, vacated that next fucking day, chop, said, I'll go get that belt back. Don't worry about it. No, literally, I have no fucking problem with that. Hamzat, though, works his entire life to get the belt just so he can fucking sit on it and extend his fucking reign for as long as he can, while we never actually see the exciting fighter that he once was. So that's just unfortunate. I don't know if there's anything else left to say about this one.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to at least highlight Thickness coming in, basically reiterating my point. Why did Waylay have to relinquish her belt, but Jones can hang around with his for 5 years? I mean, it's like the same concept. John Jones sitting on the belt, inactive because of the preferential treatment. So yeah, I mean, again, I think that's really all that I have about that aspect of it. Hey, love to Kyrgyzstan. Appreciate you, physicists. But yeah, as far as it goes, I mean, will it be an interim belt? Will it be waiting for him to defend? I mean, I don't know. It's just unfortunate because you saw this coming from a mile away, and now you're living through the reality of it.
Speaking of things that you could see from a mile away, this is not one of them, of course. This is one of the bigger heartbreaks of this week, but we do have to talk about it because everybody's favorite fighter, unfortunately, has been suspended for a failed drug test. Yasmin Lucendo, everybody, I know. Listen, save your tears for another day. We will have plenty of days for him. Yasmin Lucendo has been suspended. She failed a drug test. She issued a statement this morning. This was back on the 19th. Suspects a contaminated supplement is to blame. Now, this is going to be interesting to hear. What the verdict is, because when we had Khalil Roundtree, he had a tainted substance and he admitted to it and owned up to it right away, and then he got a suspension from retroactive 3 months and then 8 months, whatever the situation may be. What will Yasmin Lucendo's story be here? She's not really that good. Should you really fight it here? Just take your suspension and come back better. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's who really cares in the big picture when it comes to her? But my question is, why are there so many contaminated substances to begin with? Like,
She probably dates a dude that does PEDs, of course. We talk about it with Yana Santos and Tiago Santos. It's like, yeah, they definitely are sharing the oatmeal over there.
I mean, fair enough, but like, I love the idea that all these fighters get like tainted supplements is the get out of jail free card is what they think that it is. We all know that that's not the case. So they got to start coming up with some better excuses over here is what I would say to this, because how many times and how many fighters all are just getting these tainted supplements from other places, weird back alley, pharmacies from Guadalajara. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, I don't get like how you can just have that as a common thing in this sport. Like maybe there should be a reform on where you are able to actually source your supplements from.
Yeah, or I would start questioning, if these are supplements that, are you buying them off the shelf? Because you should start reading the fucking nutritional facts on the back of it. If you don't know what's in it,
well, their
maybe
point,
don't
though,
fucking take it.
What they would say, though, is that, oh, we did read it, but then there was stuff in it that they didn't list. And that's the whole tainted element of it. But still, again, it's like, whatever.
Then if you are somebody who is claiming that, and that is the true statement, mate, you got a lawsuit to go ahead and you better go get a good lawyer. Like, what are you talking about? UFC fight? Who cares about the fucking no contest? Go get $1 million from fucking Frito-Lay because you sat on your ass eating chips and they tainted your fucking, I don't know.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good point. I think that I think Anderson Silva actually did do that. I think that there was a fighter that did that, and I believe won their case. I think it was Anderson Silva. So yeah, I mean, look, that absolutely could be the case. That certainly would make it a better argument when these types of things crop up if you actually did take action like that. Because really, what this comes off as to the majority of people is that you were juicing and you got caught, and this is your best excuse that you could come up with on the fly.
I'm actually glad the Tasteful Thickness brought it up because I didn't have it for this week's notes, but Kaya Kara-France also has been pulled from the testing pool and he is now not listed in the rankings. So that is something else that changed with the roster. The main thing that I want to say about that is that he is officially running from Manel Kape. I mean, that's obvious. Him losing, what am I thinking of? Him losing to Pantoja, it was going to set him back just enough that the fight with Manel Kape could be rebooked for a millionth time. And the fact that he pulled out is 100% fact to me. I don't care if it's true in his mind. He don't have to believe it. Nobody else does. But to me, he did not want to fight Manel Kape. They were going to rebook it one more time, and he did not want to do it. And now he has pulled out of the testing pool. He has pulled out of the rankings. That's something we don't even see. Think about how serious that is. It's not just, I'm going to take some time off. It's like, no, they took him off the rankings. Like, he said, I'm like done. Like, Brandon Moreno said, I'm going to take time off. Where did he go? Nowhere. Max Holloway goes to fucking 55. He's still ranked in featherweight. Ilia Topuria steps up. He's still ranked in featherweight. You got all these things that are happening and not one thing. The difference is with Kaya Kara-France is I actually think is Tasteful Thickness is actually cooking. He gets pulled out of everything properly. Take me off the ranking. So there is not a lick of evidence that I was even in the UFC when I start doing my roids. Like
well, that's what I was going to say is that my favorite thing about the Kai Kara situation is that if you heard his statement about why he's doing all of this, it's because he's taking time off to enrich the Maori culture. And of course, a lot of people kind of meme on him because he does the tongue thing and the intense eyes. And that's a Maori thing. That's the representative of his culture. But I did like that he's taking himself out of the testing pool for the culture. I was like, yes. Bro, that is a wild set of work there to try to put it on your culture that you are going to be going and onto a cycle and then coming off with enough time to come back into the pool and then get back to activity.
One thing that I will say is that there are some people who do some things that are questionable. Pulling out of the UFC for the culture is one questionable move. There is more questionable moves that can be done in this sport, and I'm going to show you exactly the one right here because this is the most notable questionable move that you need to remember going into the fights tomorrow. Arman Tsarukyan is once again a fucking idiot.
This is bad. This is some real bad shit right here.
Let's just go ahead and watch the clip real quick, and then we'll get the insight.
Roll it.
and they don't really do anything else for the remainder of it. But the point is, I don't know if anybody saw. We'll play that part of it one more time, just because it's really quick.
Yeah.
Boop, get a little headbutt from him. Let's see if we can get the collision here. Maybe. Either way.
Yep, right there. I mean, did he actually make contact? There it is.
Yeah, he for sure does.
Yep. Yeah, this is what people were saying about this is that first he pulls out of the title fight, he punches a fan when he's walking to the cage, and now this guy is a legitimate fuckhead. I mean, like, I don't think that there's really any two ways that you can say it. And then also, I would never be the first person to bring this up because I really don't care too much about the backgrounds. Like, look, I care when it's a compelling story. These guys that come from the favelas and they rise out of that to become greatness. I mean, it's compelling there. Him being a rich kid, quote unquote, it would not be something that I would latch onto, like, oh, screw this guy because he's, he had a wealthy upbringing or whatever. Like, I'm not that type. Like, I don't really, if you're good in the cage and you're not an asshole, I fuck with you. You know what I mean? I don't, it wouldn't be like the thing that I would like instantly like make a problem out of. But when you have the pattern of behavior that this guy has, plus that he's a spoiled brat on top of it, fuck this guy.
Yeah. No, this one is just crazy to me because as somebody who questions what Armin is thinking, what were you thinking of pulling out? Were you really that hurt that you couldn't compete? What did you think of that? Whatever. What do you think when you call out for a title shot that I'm the person who deserves the title shot? These are positions that he's in right now. But then when you see him step up to the plate on the stage before the fight, the day before, and he risks not only, penalty from the promotion for doing something out of line, you're risking literally the opportunity that's supposed to get you what you're wanting. You could have just had this fight canceled, not even just for yourself. You couldn't have just fucked it up for yourself. You would have had every single person on the fucking MMA community on your fucking ass, dude. You just canceled our main event. Now we have to settle for 3 rounds with Bilal and Ian Gary. Like, what? Like, I would have slapped him so hard through the fucking screen. Like, seriously, this was such an idiot move. It's not even the fact that you headbutt him, because we'll talk about this in a moment. It's not the fact you headbutt him. It's not the fact that you did it. It's all the circumstances surrounding it, the context. It's like, what was the best case scenario? Because if it wasn't this, your idea was I was going to bust him up. The fight cannot continue. They won't let him fight with an open wound or like a broken nose or anything like that. In Armin's mind, I think best case scenario for him is what he was thinking. I'm going to headbutt him and the fight is going to get called off. Like, that's what I'm thinking here. That's my big brain play. If I headbutt him right now and it cuts him under the eye, no way the fight could not go on. So,
I mean, I want to believe that he just did that to be tough and wasn't thinking about the consequences of it in the moment. Like, that it was just, oh, we're head to head, I'll headbutt him. Just like, kind of just did it as like a tough guy move. But you don't do something like that that's fight jeopardizing, even under, like, that should not be your instinct to do that in that moment. Like, the fact that this is like what his mind goes to, like, he really does have like the like a mentality of like, I just do whatever the fuck. And like, it's like, it's such bullshit. Like, he makes no friends with this kind of stuff. He does himself no favors with anybody with this, not with the fans, not with the community, the organization, the community surrounding the fighter community. Like, everybody looks at this guy as a fucking joke for this kind of stuff. I mean, like, it has to be.
Here's the even bigger joke about it, right? Is because Armin will do this, and this is classic. Listen, I come from watching the NBA. People don't want to fight there. They want to make sure people are in the way before they start running after them, so they stop them. I just want to show you this clip right here, because as you see, you got Armin here. That's cool. He knows nothing's going to happen here. We're getting separated, for sure. We got security.
Facing each other. Social, tell me when you're good. Okay. Facing forward.
A lot of hostility there, doesn't it?
Yeah, really.
Day
exactly.
before.
But that, again, it's all that instinctual, like, we're this close, it got to be a little bit tough for the cameras kind of thing.
He's like 20, he has like 20 pro bouts. Like, there's no, It was in the moment. This is how he's got it. Like, he
All
literally
right.
is a professional at the highest level. How many face-offs has he had? We don't like. Listen, if this is how you act against Dan Hooker, mate, Dan Hooker is a fucking Chad for like. I'm not the biggest Dan Hooker fan. I'm not the biggest Armin fan, but this shows me Dan Hooker. Mentally, he's got you beat. He was able to make you break character. You lashed out publicly. I got you. Got him. Got him. You look like a fool.
Oh
You
yeah,
look
and
like a fool.
I mean to that end, I thought that Dan Hooker's reaction was pretty telling in all of that too. What did he do? He gets hit in the head with the headbutt, laughs it off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
good,
gonna whoop his
nice,
ass now,
yeah, nice
probably.
try, guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to think that Armin is going to win this fight now. Really, I mean, like, I want to see like. It is very rare that I actively like prey on people's downfalls. Like, you have to do like this type of thing is what makes me do that. I am very egalitarian when it comes to this sport. Like, I don't care what region of the world you're from. I don't care what your background is, ethnicity, any of that stuff goes out the window. I care about how you fight. And it's only things like this that come into the equation where I actively start to hate fighters.
Yeah.
Armin has made me hate him. And I'm like, so dude, like, do I think he's going to win this fight? Sadly, yes. But do I want him to lose? 10,000% I want him to lose. I want Armin gone from this promotion. Armin should have been the one that got the Mukayev treatment.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, I even brought that up to Mank. I'll say it again on stream. Mank, I apologize. Mokayev's not a thug, not compared to this guy. I mean, this guy is clearly unhinged, deranged.
He's a spoiled brat is what he is. I mean, like, that's what it's saying. Like, again, I would never bring it up if it wasn't the pattern of behavior that you see surrounding that type of person.
Yeah, fair. So I definitely think it is one thing to note that Armin is unable to control his emotions. He has impulsive desires, and he unfortunately folds to them, especially when Dan Hooker is standing in front of him and he's laughing in his face like the little man-child that he is, apparently. So,
I'm not a big Harry Potter fan, but are you familiar with the Harry Potter at all?
I had an ex-girlfriend who really liked them, so I disliked them a lot, if that makes anything.
Okay, fair enough. The only reason I say that is that there is a character called Draco Malfoy, who's
that's the actor's name, no?
No, that's a character. That's not an actual human name. I would hope not, anyway. But
sounds pretty legit, though.
It is kind of hard. But like, he reminds me of that. It's like a spoiled, bratty kind of kid character who just gets his way all the time, and then he'll like stomp and pout and moan about when it's not that. And like, I just see a lot of the same tendencies in Armin.
I think Armin wins the fight, but I think Dan Hooker at least gets one or two decent opportunities to cut Armin open in ways that he has not experienced in his fights to this date. And I think that's all that's all Hooker needs to do at the end of the day. He needs to inflict more damage than the headbutt did. That's basically all that needs to happen.
God, I hope so. Please touch this man up. Please open him up. At least if he's going to immediately level change and nut hug and lay on top of you for a lot of this fight, which is what I think is going to happen, then at least get your licks in where you can.
100%. And I'm really just hoping this is going to be a banger of a card. This is going to be really fun to see, especially because most of the people that we have on the card normally do deliver. So I'm just really excited for everybody who's involved. And this was, John Jones is also uncontrollable nut. We can't necessarily correlate bad behavior to ability to win.
That's
true, fair enough.
Kind of the point I was making. It's like, yeah, as much as it sucks that Armin is the way that he is, he's probably going to win.
Yeah, 100%. But we can pray for a split decision for Dan Hooker if you want to base it on damage. Let's pray for the best here, but I could be wrong. But I think that was the last thing that I have to note here. I guess we'll open the doors for the chat for a little bit. If you guys want to hang out and let us know any other information that we're missing, or if you want to carry on with something from a little earlier, I mean, we can hang on here for a second or two. But other than that, I think we've ran down the weekly news.
Absolutely. So yes, this is the free-for-all element of the Friday free-for-all. So by all means, chat, if there's any other stories that we missed, or like Chase said, if there's something from earlier that you'd like to return to, we can certainly dissect some of that. But yeah, I mean, looking forward to the card tomorrow. I got to get up early for it, of course. So that's going to be something to keep in mind. We'll be live with the Vitz King for the watch along bright and early at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, got to get over to his place for that. Got to get a good night's sleep before that, and hopefully no technical issues this time, because that was annoying last time.
Yeah, I agree. I've been having some technical difficulties as well. My microphone just completely went to shit the last episode that we were on here. So thankfully, it was able to come together by Friday because now we're going on to Saturday and UFC is going to be on. And listen, there's a lot of good things going on for this card. Make sure everybody is here at 10 o'clock, like Thinker said. Both streams are going to be doing something creative. Fridays, don't know if you guys knew. Friday mornings, we were up early. Speaking of UFC being early tomorrow, one was at 7:30 this morning. If you guys didn't catch it, we have a stream where we watched some really good. Oh my gosh! Oh,
I was going to say,
the
first
leg
of all,
break. Did we
yeah.
talk? We could talk about that.
Absolutely. I mean, shout out to you for your commitment to getting up for those one cards. It's hard because of the work schedule and everything, but like I definitely commend you for for being there for those cards. And for the stuff that you were posting in the Discord about the one championship card this morning, it sounded like there was a couple of fireworks going off.
There was a couple different fireworks. This is the main thing, of course. We're gonna go ahead and show it on stream. I hate to break it to you guys, but this happens in the sport, and it's one of the crazier things that you'll
If
catch.
if you're squeamish, you might want to
Yeah,
look
don't
away for
watch.
this
But
one.
if you are somebody that needs to know information on why you should not be joining a club or joining any other martial arts, this may be your indication why. Look, we're stepping break his fucking leg. Yeah. This is crazy. Steps back, breaks. Yeah, it's pretty.
That is
fucking
brutal.
gnarly. Pretty fucking gnarly right there. It sucks that has to happen sometimes in the sport. That's after the first leg kick as well.
Oh, that's brutal. Yeah.
Walked in, broke his leg, and now we were talking about it. It's not just the recovery of your leg healing. You have to get back into fight shape and learning the motor skills and being confident that you could kick something without your leg breaking again. There's a lot of mental steps to the recovery process too. Physical therapy is a very hard thing to do because it's doing the same thing over and over again that you're maybe not as confident that you could do as you once did. And with a bone, of course, that can, if you've ever like twisted something or felt like something didn't heal properly or it was hurting, Thinker, you could probably relate. Imagine it's like your skeleton, like literally the shit that is holding you up to day by day. That's the shit that is like not working properly, and you just gotta one day you have to have the confidence that I can do this again. And for that fighter right there, unfortunately, it is a long ways away. That's the sad part about it, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was kind of memeing on the Chris Weidman thing earlier, but like, I have a friend who broke his leg, a while back and also has a steel rod in his leg. And it's one of those things that like every once in a while he'll say, yeah, it's just kind of acting up. Like it's not something that's going to be like debilitating, but you just have a phantom pain every once in a while because it's an alien thing to your body that has to be there for the rest of your life now. So yeah, I feel for that guy. It's a long road to recovery, and it's I think more to your point, that the confidence, I can't imagine what that does to your mental state, like to have to know that you have to compete with that again now.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely something that I would never personally stop thinking about. But it is part of the ply of the fighter, whatever you want to say. I think the last thing that we'll note, this comment from Tasteful Thickness is actually great. No more stories. LFA sucked. Ring girls were legit. That's actually a really fucking bar note to end it on right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've wanted to catch LFA. I mean, a lot of these other promotions, LFA, Cage Warriors, these are the things that a lot of times are airing on Fight Pass, and this is one of the reasons that I specifically do not have Fight Pass, is because I think I would just be watching fights all the time. But I have made the note that Grabaka Hitman, shout out to Kapoza, he does keep a running list of weekly events that are just going on, and a lot of them are free to watch on YouTube. So at some point, when the time allows, this week was a little crazy, but now coming in out of this week and into the next, and once I finish the editing of the Warrior review, which is still happening, I am almost done with it, getting much closer to being finished. I'm hoping to have that out on Sunday. That's the tentative release date for the Warrior edited review. Once all that plays out, if there are times when we can start throwing in a couple of extra streams where things are just free on YouTube that you can watch along with, not out of the question at all. Love to be on chatting with you guys during those. So unfortunate that LFA sucked, but that's just the nature of the game when you get into the regionals sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's That unfortunately with the regionals, that is something that comes with the territory. You're gonna see some bad ones, but it sucks that it was a whole card of sucky fights. At least it sucks that there wasn't one thing that you could tell us, like not one good moment. Come on, thickness. You got to think about something, dude. But either way, Aspen Ladd's brother. Oh shit. Got killed in the ring by as a -500 by the oldest fighter on the card. That was kind of funny. See, there you go. There's something to note.
Yeah, I didn't even know that Aspen Ladd's brother was a fighter. Is he a newer fighter? Is he just starting out in his career? Or maybe that's what it was. But that being a -500, that's an unfortunate situation there. But there is actually a friend of mine a while back did say that oftentimes the bigger the discrepancy in the betting odds are, the more likely that the upset happens. So I mean, I don't know if there's like empirical data for that. I think he said that there was, but I'd have to look into like do some research on that to see how true that is, like statistically. But we've seen it in the past. I mean, see heavy favorites getting upsetted. It's not entirely uncommon, I would say. I mean, it's certainly not likely. There's a reason that favorites are the way that they are, but that also goes to our conversation about betflation and how these lines are sometimes inflated. If you see a big underdog throwing a straight on it, short money straight bet, maybe never the worst thing to do.
Oh yeah, unless the dude that the dog is going against is named Ateba Gautier.
Yeah.
Then you probably should not put any money near that fight because you're probably going to lose. But that's just my opinion.
Sure. Well, the thickness coming in saying that the James Krause rule in effect, that does bring up the scandal that had rocked us recently. That, of course, as the news cycle goes further down the line, it's kind of dissipated. But keep in mind that we are always ear to the ground when it comes to these things. So know that when we get the updates on everything that's going on with the FBI investigation, we will certainly be updating you here on Yama.
Yeah, we literally have been in conversations with Kash Patel, and he has been letting us know that everybody's cooperating. Dolgarian's team, the lawyers from Dolgarian, the X Factory that he was kicked out of, everybody's cooperating. Everything's good. But until we get more information, we will, we're just going to have to keep you guys coming back to the Friday episodes and finding out if the information is going to come out. So without that information being, private to us, you will never get to know unless you show up on Fridays.
Very true. I mean, and also, if you ever see when you see Kash Patel on the next UFC broadcast and he's answering his cell phone, just know Chase Parton on the other line.
Literally. So make sure when you're hanging out with me next, I am an informant.
Yeah. Don't try to fix fights with Chase. He's got a direct line of communication to the top.
And I'm very good at kissing Kash Patel's ass, apparently, because he got Dolgarian but literally they knew before the fight was happening, and I was telling him on the phone, like, yo, something's going on. Either way.
So, yeah, fair enough. I see E-Money J checking in. Shout out to you, brother, saying that we're going to be making millions in the morning. Well, of course, E-Money J, a regular hanger out on the watch-alongs with us. So, we will be getting the lowdown on your parlay. Didn't work out so well last go-around, if I'm not mistaken. But, better luck to you coming up. Hopefully that will be the case for you. I'm always rooting for you, even if I don't always agree with your thought process.
Yeah, 100%. We're always rooting for E-Money J. Promise you that.
True. Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Anything else? What else is going on?
Nothing else has been going on, I don't think. We got you tweeting about the show, which is always really good.
Of course, at Yama Show on Twitter and Instagram and on Facebook now. Thank God we got Yama Show back on Facebook. So make sure that if you are still an old fossil out there, that you are liking on Facebook and those other platforms. Follow your boy, especially on Instagram too, because I be posting some stories on there that I think because stories, they go away really quickly. I don't know if they're getting the proper respect that they're due, but sometimes I come out with some pretty funny jokes on that one.
Nice. I also would like to remind the chat that if you are aware, or even if you are aware and need a reminder, we occasionally are breaking down films that have revolving narratives about mixed martial arts. If you have a film that you grew up watching that you love, that you're a fan favorite of, and or if you have a movie that you were always wondering if it was good and it has something to do with mixed martial arts, you should leave a comment in this section and you should let us know the name of that and who was in it. Let us know a quick synopsis. Give us any indicator of a movie that we need to watch that has mixed martial arts in it. We will go down, watch these in depth, break them down with notes, and we will come back to you with our complete thoughts on every single part of these movies, and we will tell you about it. Just let us know which ones you have in mind for us to do. That is the only thing that I think I have left to tell you guys for today, because you guys are so awesome and going to be watching fights with us tomorrow. So we can make a quick wrap up and be ready to see you guys in the morning, I think.
Absolutely. To Chase's point, MMA on film, you are going to get the most in-depth reviews of films that you will ever get anywhere. We are going super deep when it comes to our reviews of MMA films. You can go back. There's a playlist on the Yama channel of the reviews that we've already done. We also reviewed the show The Cage from Netflix. So, when we do our reviews, we are setting out not only to give you our honest opinions, but to break down all of the interesting points throughout the entirety of the film. So your boys are on the case every single time. The edited version of our review of Warrior is coming out very soon. I referenced that earlier. It's going to have some nice visuals with it as well, some screenshots from the film throughout all of the review. So keep an eye out for that. And like you said, I see Thickness coming through with a recommendation. I think
it's already added on the list.
Chase adding it to the list. So there you go. You are now inputted onto the list of potential movies for us to review. Remind us, keep it in the comments section if it's something you're interested in, and your boys will definitely get to it.
100%. Yeah, these are very exciting to do. They're very fun ideas to unravel, very fun themes to look into with the movies, and of course, break down all the artistic choices that these directors and producers are making when it comes to these films, because these are films made for people like us. We are the MMA film fans. That's what it is. And so watching them, not only are we getting ideas thrown at us from people who are like-minded or like similar things from us, but they're also trying to showcase what we watch every week in a way that is more enjoyable for the casual audience to just turn on a movie and watch and get a feel for what mixed martial arts is.
Artistically heightened, you might say.
There you go. I like that. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, and both myself and Chase, big film fans as well. So, we have some insights as to the emotional aspects of these things and the storytelling aspects, of course. So, you get a nice mix of our love of MMA and our love of film together in the MMA on Film series.
And if you guys were wondering out there, I would like to say myself, I believe that we do a very good job of breaking down these movies. It does maybe run a little longer, but hey, we are very thorough at what we do. Every scene is supposed to tell you something. That means I have to have something to say about everything that I've seen. So we have to just go with the flow, The
Absolutely.
Movies are very fun. It's not just movies out there, chat, TV shows, documentaries, docuseries, and video walkthroughs are also very, very good options for this project that we are working on, and it's something that we are planning to have as a reoccurring thing for the time being. Obviously Fridays are more common streams for us, which is a very fun time. Mondays, if you did not know, we have a podcast. We talk about the fights from Saturday to next Saturday, and if there's fights on Tuesday, we occasionally talk about them, but we got a while for that. So Mondays, 10 p.m., last week's fights. My name's Chase. That's Thinker St. James, and we definitely be talking about the fucking fights on that. So just letting you know.
tune in, hang out with your boys, and watch alongs are tomorrow, podcast on Monday, so you get the entire gamut of everything. We keep you informed. It's video content on top of that. What is not to love?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you guys, if you were out there, and I'm not trying to just do a little glaze portion towards the end here, but, since Thinker brought it up at the beginning, he's like, I don't know how much, you watched my comment. When we talk about Guru, speaking of the content individually, how much I had watched about yours. Guys, if you did not know, Thinker St. James, Yama, he makes some really good videos, and there's a lot of good ones back in the day that, specifically we talked about Chris Weidman. If you go back to his Yama episode on the Atlantic City UFC card, it is very enjoyable. I think the replay value is magnifico when it comes to that. I laughed. I actually had it on my TV, played it for a couple nights, and I went to sleep. And this was before we had the podcast, which is actually kind of crazy to me because I'm like, who's this dude following me? I got to check out his content, of course, if he's, whatever. And I was genuinely a fan before any of this became about. So maybe that should lead you to believe that Demetrius Johnson is a big fan of Guru, and he just doesn't want Islam and Habib to think about it.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words, Chase. I appreciate that. Yes, the Yama series will come back. Unfortunately, we did have a pay-per-view, and this week was just way too hectic for any of that kind of stuff, unfortunately. But, try to get the Yama episodes out and additional video content on top of that. So, if Chase sold you with that glowing praise, which I very much appreciate, then by all means, channel's right there for you. It's all free. Enjoy as much as you can.
Hell yeah. And I think you guys will do a very good job of enjoying. If enjoyment is your idea of a good time, you are going to get that at the Yama channel. Tell you
Absolutely.
that for a fact.
Likewise with Chase and his content every time that he's streaming. Also for those one cards, definitely great time on Friday morning. So, pulling double duty today, Chase. Friday morning, Friday night. The guy is a hardworking man over here.
Hell yeah. Appreciate it. Always a good time.
Good deal. Well, you know what? I guess with all of that said, we appreciate each and every one of you who has been in the chat with us today on this stream. Of course, this is our chance to kind of be a little bit looser, let our hair down a little bit, chat with you guys a little bit more back and forth, about all of these things that we've been talking about. So thank you for being here for that. Keep your eyes out for more Friday streams. Of course, make sure that you are following, subscribed, all of those things for both of our channels. Of course, youtube.com/@YamaShow and CP Smalls for Chase as well. So I guess, until next time, right? Are we about good?
We are good. Until next time, it is. And I can't wait for more because I think Fridays are definitely a very chill experience that I can continue to get behind. So very excited.
Here. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a great rest of your night. We will be back with you tomorrow for the fights. Have a good one. See you then.
Game.